Where do you even start? After just a thrilling win, another amazing win added to the list. They've had so many of these this year, simply incredible. And I think Mike Schultz started his press conference postgame by saying the same thing. Where do you even begin? As the Padres win in Pittsburgh, they've won another series, 6 consecutive series wins to start the second half. They've taken the first two at PNC Park. They'll go for a sweep tomorrow morning. That'll be Thursday morning, 9:35 a.m. Pacific, as they look to continue to potentially gain ground in the NL West. Arizona's been red hot. So are the Padres. And should this score hold tonight in Los Angeles between the Phillies and the Dodgers, at last check, it was 8-4. Philadelphia in the eighth inning. Keep me updated, chat. The Padres would move to within 3 games of first place in the NL West. Remember, San Diego has not finished within 16 games of first place in the NL West in a full season since 2010, and inching closer seemingly by the day, following an absolutely epic win that had as many twists and turns as you can possibly imagine. And we're going to react to all of it. Let me just say this off the top. Appreciate your support of the channel. This will likely be an extended edition of the wrap-up show. If you want to guarantee it's an extended edition, subscribe. If we get to 6,700 subscribers tonight while live, I'll extend this thing out. So simple as that. We're about 20 subscribers away. Can't do this without your support. If you're here right now, if you need that extra incentive to subscribe, please do it. We'll extend out the wrap-up show on a night where you could probably talk about it until tomorrow morning. I think Rich McGuire said that on social media, or maybe texted to me. We could probably talk about this for the next 12 hours, which is when the next Padres game is going to start. So subscribe. We get to 6,700. We can extend this thing out. Smash the like button. We have to get 500 likes on this video between now and the replay of this video. You can follow me on X. I appreciate that, at John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. Jim can stay in Switzerland, truthfully, because like the best moments in Padres history are happening with him in Europe. So stay in Europe. When Jim comes back, we'll see if he's welcome back in the show or not. We appreciate the super chats. If you want to control the direction of the conversation, if you want to support the channel, you know how hard it is for me doing a solo show to see anything in the chat. So if you want to make sure I see your comment here tonight, if you want to make sure to get your comment on screen, if you want me to react to your comment, if you just want to support the channel, click the $ below the chat box. We truly do appreciate that. And if you want to become a member, click the join button down below. You'll get custom emojis and badges. I think I actually want to start in the 9th inning and then kind of proceed accordingly, maybe from the 9th to the 10th to circumvent our way throughout this game. But I mean, Jackson Merrill, it's almost at the point where it's like, what can he not do, right? Like, he proves people wrong seemingly every time he's on the field. I had questions about Merrill coming into the year. I was dead wrong, all right? I was dead wrong. Switching positions, being 20 years of age, being asked to do a lot. I didn't really think it was possible to put up a year that he's put up, and he's proven a lot of people wrong, including myself. And, Paul Skeens, it's a great story. Jackson Merrill's done more than Paul Skeens this year. Why? He's been more impactful for a winning team than Paul Skeens has. Skeens has had a great year. This isn't going to be a Rookie of the Year conversation tonight, but I'm just telling you, Jackson Merrill has meant more to the Padres than Paul Skeens has meant to the Pirates. And at the end of the day, Merrill's going to help guide this team to the postseason, and Skeens isn't going to do that. With Pittsburgh, Skeens didn't start the year here. He could be shut down late. Again, I'm not going to have the whole conversation that we all agree. Jackson Merrill's just been terrific, a godsend, truthfully. And hopefully he's here for a very long time. And his home run in the 9th, his second of the game, I think he's hit 3 go-ahead or game-tying home runs in the 9th inning this year or later. That's the most in baseball. That's incredible alone. At that point, you have to win the game. At that point, you have to win the game. And they've been so good in close games. They've been so good in extra innings. And then they navigate their way through a ridiculous, almost an absurd bottom of the 9th inning that saw a scenario play out that we can get into, where Robert Suarez had to leave the game because of a second visit to the mound as deemed by the plate umpire. This is because Suarez got a pitch clock violation, which was absurd. I've watched this back, and we can get into that as well if you want to. We don't need to get into the specifics of it off the top of the show, but I'm telling you that it wasn't right considering the circumstances. There's a number of reasons as to why. We can get into that. I thought at that point Manny Machado was getting tossed. He was animated. They had no position players available. Mike Schultz saying post-game he didn't really want to put Matt Waldron in left field, but it might have come to putting Matt Waldron in left field if Machado or someone else got ejected. Anyway, Suarez gets gets the second out on the ground ball to second, right? They come home with the bases loaded, right? You're 90 feet away from losing in the ninth inning. And then he's got to go to Tanner Scott. Why? Because the second visit already in the inning. So he got to complete that AB or that plate appearance. And then he goes to Tanner Scott because he had to. Tanner Scott's obviously had an amazing year, but he wasn't going to move on from Robert Suarez in that spot. He just had to do it because of the second visit. And then Tanner Scott induces the final out of the ninth inning. 10th inning has more twists and turns. I don't even know why I'm recapping this whole thing because a lot of you have watched it, but maybe you want to relive it with me right now. I'm just kind of living through it vicariously as it kind of pops up in my head right now after watching this thing end a couple of hours ago. But, you get some hits in the 10th inning. You also had a critical play on that essentially drop at home plate, right? So it's 8-6. And it's likely 8-6 to the bottom of the inning, if not for the drop at home plate, because the runner was clearly out. That ninth run was clearly out. Who was it? Grandal. Yasmani Grandal. I have no idea what he's trying to do with that tag. It's like an Ole one-handed tag. He gets the leg of whomever it was. Who was it? Was it Bogarts? And the ball caroms away, thankfully, and that's the ninth run. You're thinking, okay, 3-run cushion. You're probably good at a 2-run cushion, but 3 is even better. Boy, do they need it. Boy, do they need it. The walks in the bottom of the inning. Morahone comes on and had just some huge pitches, big-time strikeout, if not strikeouts, right? They're in the bottom of the 10th inning, and the Padres find a way. We've said it so many times. It's like this is like the 15th game of the year for the Padres. That's probably too high, but it's basically the dozenth. Is dozenth the word? It's like the 12th game of the year for the Padres, truly. And you could argue which one has been more impactful, a game against the Dodgers coming back from 5-0, or game against the Cubs 4 months ago coming back from 8-0 at home, or winning a game like this on the road in the midst of this unbelievable stretch where you're 13-3 since the All-Star break. They've all mattered, and they all add up to get you in a position where the division is within reach, the postseason is within reach, but it's going to be a fight. Arizona is playing somehow as well as the Padres right now. So Arizona actually gained a half game on San Diego today. How? They won twice, and the Padres only won once. So those two teams are in a tie for the wild card lead and essentially second place in the NL West. And then you have, a Dodger team that, you kind of hate to say that, I don't want to tempt fate with them. So I'm only going so far with it, but they haven't played like you'd expect them to play. Normally, they just turn on the Jets at some point. I mean, go look at Padres since 2010 and where they've finished in the division and how many games they've been behind the Dodgers. And I mean, this is almost a once in a 2-decade occurrence where the Padres are hanging around in a division this late, right? It's been forever. You're talking about 15 years since the Padres have been this close to a division this late in a season. And it's all there for the taking. It's all there for the taking. Now, the truth is, between the Dodgers, Padres, and Diamondbacks, someone's finishing in first and someone's finishing in third. And I could argue any of those as possibilities, right? I mean, I don't think anyone would be shocked if you're here right now if the Padres won this division. I also don't think you'd be overly shocked if the Dodgers did. And the Diamondbacks, who were in the World Series last year, continued to play well, and the Padres were the third best team in the division. So anything's possible. I mean, it's like throw it in a hat, jumble it up, and then pull names out of a hat. Is it San Diego, LA, Arizona? Is it Arizona, San Diego, LA, and so on and so forth? So everything's up for grabs. The good news is you're starting to create a little bit of separation in the wild card from the top of the wild card to the quote unquote bottom of it. I think they're 2.5 games clear of being on the outside looking in, right? So it's not a massive amount of space. It's not like they're 8 games up on a playoff spot, but they haven't been more than 2.5 games up on a playoff spot basically this year. I think I'm correct in saying that. And they haven't been closer to the top of the NL West essentially all year, going back to maybe, I don't know, the first couple of weeks of the season. So again, Dodgers in action. Should they lose, they're now trailing 9-4. The Padres would move to within 3 games. So would Arizona. 3 games of first place, incredibly, in the NL West. Subscribe. Like I said, we get to 6,700 subscribers. We'll extend out the wrap-up show here tonight. We got to do it while we're here live. So please subscribe. If we get another 20 subscribers here tonight while you're here, we will have an extended edition tonight of the wrap-up show. If you're here, please subscribe. We are the home of Real Padres Talk. And thank you for the super chats. I'll get to all of them, I promise. I see a couple have rolled in. I just want to get through this opening diatribe, which is already going 10 minutes. But click the dollar sign below the chat box and let's get to every single super chat tonight and let's discuss whatever you want to discuss and appreciate it. Really do appreciate your support of the channel. I thought early it might be one of those nights over 162 that it's just tough to get up for all 162 games, right? We're all human beings. And you got good days, you got bad days, even when you have everything, even if it's a good year, there's still bad days in a good year, right? As a human being. And, Michael King throws 30 something pitches in the first inning. The defense wasn't perfectly crisp. At that point, you're thinking, man, they just threw 8 innings from their bullpen yesterday. They can't afford for King to only go like 3 innings in this game because who's going to be available for them after yesterday and who's going to be available potentially tomorrow as well. But King guts it out, right? Grinds through this game here tonight, gets through 5 innings. Was it his best work? No, it wasn't, but he gave you 5 innings. And then here's the thing. You go down, was it 3-1 maybe in this game? Yeah, they go down 2-0 and then it's 2-1. On the Merrill home run, then it's 3-1. You're like, well, maybe it's just not going to be their night. And, you go, all of a sudden you look up and who is it? It's Kyle Higashioka with another big hit. 3-run home run, you lead, but then the Pirates immediately tie it up and a McCutchen home run. Then you go up 5-4 and then you go down on a big clutch 2-out, 2-run hit, the way I remember it, in the 6th inning. And then you get the Merrill moment in the 9th inning and that evens the playing field. And then everything we've talked about here, the first 10 minutes of the show. So, I mean, we said it earlier this year, really earlier this month, the Padres single-handedly buried the Washington Nationals from playoff contention, and they're in the process of doing the exact same thing to the Pittsburgh Pirates because I think now they're 5.5 games up on Pittsburgh in the wild card race. That's pretty significant. Now, can it be overcome? Yes. These two teams meet each other 4 times in the next week, today, and then next week in San Diego. So maybe Pittsburgh wins next, 4 games, hopefully not, or 3 of the next 4 games, and that changes things. But San Diego is set up to basically end another team's season in their quest to get to the postseason. And the story, again, is that every night, seemingly, it's someone different, whether it's Jackson Merrill, who had 4 hits tonight, or Kyle Higashioka, who had a huge 3-run home run, or Xander Bogaerts, who had a big late hit there in the 10th inning. Manny Machado, impactful moments in this game, offensively and defensively. Everyone played a role. And then, again, your bullpen, you look at the bullpen in this series, I think we should touch on that. It hasn't been perfect, but it's been pretty close. And even today, where you have to get Tanner Scott up quickly for absolutely no reason because of what played out in the 9th inning, you might be saying, well, what happened with Tanner Scott? Listen, his walk rate's always been high, but he still doesn't allow anyone basically to reach other than a walk. And he got out of a tough spot there in the 9th inning. I can completely live with it, considering the circumstance. Adrian Morejon, first career save in the major leagues, had big-time moment after big-time moment in that spot in a 9-8 game. Alec Jacob has been terrific for this team. Estrada has had some moments here where he hasn't looked necessarily like himself. Had a blown save in this game, a couple of unearned runs. But, man, this bullpen, these 2 games, 8 innings yesterday, 5 innings here today. Again, I don't know what's left in the tank. I don't even know where you turn tomorrow. I don't even know if they need to make a roster move potentially to save some of that bullpen and make sure that they've got enough arms available behind Randy Vasquez tomorrow. That's a possibility, but the end result's the end result, which is a win. And the Padres are 63 and 52. 63 and 52, 11 games over 500. And 24 and 12 in their last 36 games, 13 and 3 in the second half. Best record in baseball in the second half. And by second half, I mean since the All-Star break. So all things considered, pretty good night. Right? All things considered, pretty good night. Yeah, sure. Like Jared said, and we'll get started here with Jared. Thank you, man, for the super chat. Appreciate you hanging out. Thanks, guys. Subscribe. Year-round content for Padres fans, and thank you for the supers. Click the dollar sign below the chat box. He says, game gave me an aneurysm. I was going to say it probably took time off your life or nearly gave you a heart attack or might get you into a doctor's office at some point this week. But like he said, I mean, God, you love Merrill. And again, they got the win in the end. But I don't even know what to say about Merrill. I mean, there's so many superlatives. He goes about it the right way. He seems like a really good teammate. It seems like he's having the absolute time of his life. How could he not be? He's 21 years of age. Has anyone ever had a better time at the age of 21 than Jackson Merrill right now, and he's just backed it up with his play. He plays, it's kind of cliche, like he plays winning baseball, but he just does. I mean, even if he's 0 for 5 in a game, his defense is good. He's a good, consummate teammate, professional, right? And then he'll stumble into these nights where he's got multiple home runs and 4 hits overall. He's got a 785 OPS as a rookie everyday center fielder in the major leagues. That's an amazing year. And he's hit 15 home runs, still more than a quarter season to go. He's going to hit 20 home runs this year. That's incredible. He's truly had an incredible year, a rookie of the year worthy season for the Padres, and he has led this team to multiple wins. I mean, there are 2, 3, 4 examples at least of Jackson Merrill being the difference between winning and losing. And that's going to matter at the end of the day over 162 in terms of either winning this division or not, or getting into this postseason or not, or being the top wildcard team as opposed to the second or third wildcard team. Like you said, he's been absolutely incredible. So thank you, Jared. Andrew, I appreciate you, my friend. He says, I love Schulte. I don't care what other people think. I mean, me and Jim, if you've watched this channel, we've been critical of what Mike Schilt has said to the media at times, but now everything's clicking. And second half Schilt, right? Schilt season, 50 games over 500, something like that, as Cardinals manager in second halves of seasons. And that has continued. That has continued here, 13-3 since the All-Star break. I don't know what it is about him, but players like playing for him, and that's clear. That was St. Louis. That's now San Diego. As Jim says, he's got people pulling on the same rope. I think what he means is he's got people pulling in the same direction on that rope, and you can't fault that. What's dangerous is a team that believes. And what's even more dangerous is a team that believes in themselves. And that is what Mike Schilt seemingly has created here, a team that is like all for one for all, right? Like that's what is playing out in front of our eyes. If they go down a couple of runs, they're fully capable of winning that game. If they blow a lead, they're fully capable of getting it back. They've dealt with adversity better than like any Padres team in recent memory. I know that. Maybe not all time, but they've dealt with adversity better than any Padres team in recent memory. Let's get to some additional super chats that are rolling in here. Enzo, thank you. He says, where would we be? This is to my point. Exactly. And you can say this about so many players, by the way. Where would you be without Jurickson Profar? We'll get into it, by the way. Left after getting hit on the knee with a fastball, stayed in the game momentarily, then left, was visibly upset, limping, x-rays negative. We'll get into more of that because where would they be without Jurickson Profar? Where would they be without Dylan Cease? Where would they be without Robert Suarez? And where would they be without Jackson Merrill? And he says that guy should be rookie of the year, hands down. It's probably for another day. We got bigger goals in mind than Jackson Merrill winning rookie of the year. I'd prefer the Padres make a run in the postseason than Jackson Merrill wins rookie of the year if we could only have one. But he has earned it with his play. And the truth is his year is just as good as Paul Skeens' year. And I don't think that's overly controversial. I think some people would tell you that's like a hot take nationally. It's just true. I mean, Skeens has been dominant, but he's done it like 14 starts. And his numbers stack up. They absolutely do. But Jackson Merrill's numbers stack up as well. And who has meant more over the course of 162 to their team, Merrill or Skeens? You could easily say it's Jackson Merrill. And what's been asked of Merrill is just as much, if not more, than what's been asked of Paul Skeens. So again, I'm not, his defense attorney. I'm not going to be his agent here. I'm not going to be the one that fights the case. But it seems like with each passing day, it's easier and easier to make the argument that Jackson Merrill truthfully should be the rookie of the year or get serious consideration for it. This should not be a landslide. What scares me in here and where I think it's unfair is that it could still be a landslide where Paul Skeens gets like, I don't know if he'll be unanimously voted in, but it's like 90% of the first place votes. And again, if you've watched the Padres this year, there's no way Merrill shouldn't get serious consideration for rookie of the year. And again, credit to Paul Skeens. He's had a really good year, right? A sub-2 ERA. It's a very impressive year, but he's on a team that's under 500 right now. He didn't start the year here. He might not finish the year in the big leagues if they shut him down, if they get 5, 6, 7 games out in the playoff hunt. So, we're biased here, but it's pretty easy to kind of paint the brush with Jackson Merrill from my seat. Padres Payne, appreciate the super chat. He says, what luxury to have this arsenal of arms to go to. Isn't it amazing? Like, I think in real time, you're thinking, oh, interesting. He's going to go from Suarez to Tanner Scott. Well, that's new. but you didn't think that it was because of what was playing out on field, where it was the second visit to the mound and they had to make a pitching change after that plate appearance was over. We didn't know that in real time. Why? Because they've added Tanner Scott, who's one of the best relievers and closers in baseball. So you're thinking, oh, interesting matchup situation here. And that's why they're going to go to Tanner Scott. In actuality, they would have preferred to just keep Robert Suarez on the mound. We don't even know what happens if Robert Suarez stays on the mound. But it's also, like we said, it's easy to make the argument for Jackson Merrill to potentially claim Rookie of the Year. It's very easy to make the argument that the Padres have the best bullpen, if not one of the two best bullpens in baseball right now. And that is based on everything we've talked about since the trade deadline, the Scott and Jason Adam additions, the way Robert Suarez has pitched. Adrian Morejon has had an amazing year. He really has finally come into his own, high leverage reliever now in the back of the Padres bullpen. Estrada on the whole has been very good. It hasn't been perfect here recently, but on the whole has been good. Matsui, Alec Jacob, give me another name, right? I mean, it seems like everyone they turn to has had success, especially recently, coming out of that bullpen. It's a weapon. I know that, whether it's the final 2 months of the regular season, even more so potentially in the postseason, but clearly it's a big-time weapon. HBBBVPPPPPJJJJ, thank you for your membership of the Super Chat. He says he's a Phillies fan this week, would rather be in Santee, I guess, over Arizona. Of course you're a Phillies fan. Of course you are. Why wouldn't you be? Phillies right now leading the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium in the bottom of the ninth inning, 9-4. The Dodgers have 2 on, though, with no one out, looking for a big-time rally at Dodger Stadium in the bottom of the ninth inning. If that doesn't happen, and again, the Phillies have that 5-run lead, then the Padres have gained 2 games in 2 days. And remember, they were 10 games out at some point mid to late June. 10 games out. Division was on life support. I said it multiple times in the wrap-up show. I'm not even worried about the division. This team's got to prove that they can just play better than 500 baseball, that they can hang in the wild card race. And now 6-7 weeks later, the Padres have potentially gained 7 games on the Dodgers over a 6 or 7 week stretch. Like, let's think about that. They've gained 7 games. They've outplayed the Dodgers over the last, whatever it is, 6-7 weeks by 7 full games. If this score holds, that's really impressive and remarkable, truly, and speaks to how well the Padres have played, and also shows that the Dodgers have been mortal this year, that they've dealt with injuries like the Padres have, but they haven't dealt with them as well, at least recently, than San Diego has. And the division is gettable. We've heard multiple people on John and Jim say that to us essentially over the last couple of weeks. It is there for the taking. Doesn't mean San Diego's going to get it. Doesn't mean Arizona's going to get it. Doesn't mean the Dodgers won't get it. But if not now, then when is basically the argument that we're making. And it seems set up for the Padres to vie for this thing deep into September, right? Again, nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm sure there'll be another 2-game losing streak for the Padres this year. I'm sure they're not going to win every game that you hope them to win. It doesn't work like that. But 13-3 to start since the All-Star break is overly encouraging and allows your mind to wander that this team has a chance to do something that few teams in the history of the organization have done. That would include winning a division. That would potentially include making a deep run in the postseason as well. And of course, you can't get too far ahead. The way, I had Mike Fair on MLB Network Radio on today on John and Jim, and he is a great interview, and he is a must listen. And find it, please, on the free iHeartRadio app or at sportssd.com. It's worth the time to listen to Mike Fair and the way he talks about the Padres, what AJ Preller's built here, and the way playoff baseball works. He said, in the NBA, I forget how he said it, like the better team, the team that's supposed to win, is going to win something like 80% of the time in a 7-game series. He said for the better team in baseball to win an 80% clip, the series would have to be a best of 75. Think about that. So the variance in baseball is much less than the variance in a sport like the NFL or the NBA. Better teams win more often in those sports than in baseball, where really bad teams win a third of the time. And really good teams don't even win 2/3 of the time. Therefore, in a 3-game series or a 5-game series, you don't have an 80% chance of winning a series. You have something like a 60 or 65% chance of winning a series. And there's no comparison between a 60% chance to win something and an 80% chance of winning something. So I don't even know how I got there, but my point is we don't know what's going to happen, even if they make the postseason, but it's nice to envision what is possible with this lineup, with the rotation, with this bolstered back end bullpen. You can allow your mind to wander, I think, is the overall point. Dara Pot, thank you, Dara Pot, for the super chat. Dara Pot saying, I feel like the 2024 National League Rookie of the Year voting will have the same result as the 2011 National League Rookie of the Year voting. 2011 National League Rookie of the Year. I'm Googling that. You may have to remind me. So this goes to Craig Kimbrell in 2011, and it was between Kimbrell, Freeman. Just looking, I mean, Kimbrell was unanimous in 2011 with 160, I guess, points or votes, and Freddie Freeman finished second, but Kimbrell was unanimous in 2011. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't keep track of the history of Rookie of the Years, to be honest with you. And my guess is Skeens remains a pretty significant front runner. That's what Mike Farron said today on the radio. But again, it's not over, is what I would say. Skeens could fall off, and Merrill could keep doing this. There is a scenario where Skeens is unanimous and nobody even remembers Jackson Merrill nationally for the season. But there's also a scenario where Skeens falls off and Merrill keeps doing this. And the thing maybe is an actual close vote come 2 months from now. Let's see here. HBBBV saying Philly's playing in Arizona this week. I'm cheering for Harper. Makes sense. Yeah. From Dodgers to Diamondbacks. Yeah, it'd be nice if they stayed hot and won some games. Philadelphia actually coming in to this series in LA had not been playing great. And is this game going final, guys? Is this game going final or not? Let's see. Dude, the way the MLB.com puts their scores up at the top of the freaking website is so bad. It's going final. Come on, MLB.com. I hate the scroll bar, man. Like, you put it on the left-hand side or put all the scores up top. Why should I have to click on scores to see, like, when a game's going final? Like, it's just Major League Baseball scores. Why make it hard for me to find out who has won a game? It's gone final. Anyway, I'm crying over spilled milk. The Padres have moved to within 3 games of first place. 3 games, 1 series, 1 sweep, 1 team gets swept, 1 weekend, 1 work week, 3 games. That's it. That's minuscule. Could change for the better or for the worse, but right now, 3 measly games. 3 measly games separate the Padres from the Dodgers. Not 4, not 5, 3. That's it. That's amazing. I'm going to tell you about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz, in a moment. Let me get to a couple of more super chats. Guys, if you're here, subscribe. Year-round content for Padres fans, the home of real Padres talk. We are inching towards 6,700. There's so many of you here live right now. There's like 500 people here live. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Maybe it's your first time here. Maybe you've never subscribed. There's a subscribe button on your screen. Hit it. If we get to 6,700, we're going to have an extended version of the wrap-up show tonight. So hit that subscribe button. We'll have an extended version of the wrap-up show. While you're at it, hit the like button. We want to get, what did I say earlier, 400 likes or 500? Let's get 500 likes on this thing. Padres winning in Pittsburgh in 10. Dodgers losing. Subscribe and like. Follow me on X, by the way, at John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. And thank you guys for the super chats. Great way to support the channel and a great way for me to see what you want to talk about, especially as I do the show solo here. So if you want to control the direction of the conversation, if there's something you want to say, someone you want to shout out, if there's a question you want answered, if there's a direction you want the show to go, click the $ below the chat box. A couple of more supers, then I'll tell you about our title sponsor here on the wrap-up show. Let's go back to the supers. And is this Gutter Matt? Thank you, Gutter Matt. He says, LFGSD, should we give up on a Darvish return? I wouldn't give up on that. No, I wouldn't give up on it. I'm just not waiting for it. I'm not expecting it. It's like one of those things that, like, I'm trying to provide an analogy. It's kind of like someone tells you, like they might do something this weekend. Like, you can't count on it, but you might get to see, your girlfriend this weekend. Then when you do, great, but you weren't necessarily expecting to see her this weekend, but she ended up visiting in the end, but you weren't expecting it. So I'm not expecting it, I guess, is the point. I'm hopeful and optimistic, and I think it would provide real value. And I've seen him at his best, and we know what he's capable of doing. And that's kind of how I feel about Musgrove. I know Musgrove's going to be back. I don't think they've set an exact date. It sounds like maybe Monday when they get back home. And I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic, but I'm not counting on him to be Joe Musgrove of old. If it happens, amazing. Also, I want to be realistic with both Darvish and Musgrove. And what I mean by that is if they do return, I can't make a judgment based on one or two starts. Like I can't say that Joe Musgrove on a 65 pitch count goes 3 2/3 innings and allows 2 runs and say, oh, where's the Joe Musgrove of 2021? You gotta be fair here and give him 2 or 3 outings, maybe more than that, for him to come into form. And I think that's only fair. Same thing with you, Darvish. Truthfully, same thing with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Kevin Acee. I think reported earlier today that he's begun to do some of the work that's necessary to get back, hitting cages, light running, some fielding, maybe targeting September. I mean, if not September, then when for Tatis? But if he does return in September, you're talking about multiple months basically off the field. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come back and hit 425 or whatever Xander Bogaerts has done since returning. So we have to, we have to be understanding, I think, as these players return and realize they're human beings and they're not invincible. And it might take time potentially for them to get back to form, if they even do get back to form, true form here in 2024. SJL Stevens, thank you. He says, let's go. Phillies friends for the day. Yeah, they've done some work out west, playing at Dodger Stadium and winning each of the last 2 nights. Phillies have obviously had a very good year and could be considered the National League favorite. But again, the way the Padres are playing right now, I think it's completely up for grabs, the National League, the way the postseason is structured with the 2 byes and then the first round wild card series, it's up in the air. Look at the last 2 postseasons. Phillies out of the 5 or 6 seed in the World Series. Arizona out of whatever it was, 5 or 6 seed to the World Series. It's completely up in the air. It's for anyone to grab, including San Diego, as we sit here and speak tonight. All right, we're going to get back to the conversation in a moment. As I told you, let's subscribe and let's have an extended wrap-up show here tonight. Do want to remind you about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz, here on the wrap-up show. We can't do this without Mark, so just want to take a moment and thank him for everything he's done for the channel. He's been with us for 3 years since we started the channel. I don't think there is a channel without Mark. So if you have an insurance need, make sure to get in contact with Mark. He's been a day one supporter of the channel. If you support the channel, please support Mark Nimitz. I've got homeowners, earthquake, and life insurance through Mark. You can as well. He does auto. He does much more than that. Click the link in the description down below. He could save you $750 or more just by switching your insurance. And then if you ever need him, he could save you thousands of dollars if you ever have to file a claim. I did in 2022. He saved us thousands of dollars and dozens of hours, maybe more than that, of time. So he's a great insurance agent, great service and communication. He's going to take care of you. Trust me. He's taking care of me and my family. Native San Diegan, lifelong Padres fan. If you support the channel, before you renew your insurance, get in contact with Mark Nimitz. If you're looking for information on a new policy, get in contact with Mark. Click the link in the description down below. And thank you, Mark, for your longtime support. I mean, longtime support of the wrap-up show here on YouTube. Let's see if I can figure this out, as I've kind of screwed up my, yeah, there we go. Boom. Figured it out. Who needs Jim? I'm a technical wizard, right? The update on Jim, if you're wondering, and I don't know if anyone is, he's going from Switzerland to Lake Como, Italy. I want to say today in Europe. So Thursday, he'll be attending a wedding. I think Aaron's friend is getting married in Lake Como, Italy, and then coming back maybe Saturday overnight into Sunday or Sunday. And then hopefully returns to the wrap-up show on Monday and John and Jim Monday. I'm not holding my breath because Jim's soft and he's going to try to take an extra day off and be like, oh my gosh, the travel was so hard. I'm like, dude, we talk for a living. So hopefully Jim is back by Monday. And if not, show goes on. Wrap-up show will go on even if Jim isn't back by Monday. Let's talk about Jurickson Profar for a moment. Again, he takes a fastball off the side of his knee, maybe the back of his knee, maybe the front of the knee, kneecap area, visibly frustrated, down for a long period of time, threw his helmet in frustration, attempted to stay in the game and did, although labored on the bases. They took him out during that sequence. They did the imaging and the x-rays, and the good news, and it is good news, is x-rays are negative, which, as Mike Schultz said postgame, is a positive because he's not the guy you're trying to lose. Not to say that the whole thing would become a house of cards, but he's just not the guy you want to lose. There's enough that you've been without with Darvish, Musgrove, Tatis, and others across the course of the year. The VAR guy, the vibes above replacement guy, the good vibes guy, you just don't want to lose him because you know what he means. We know what he means between the white lines. He's put together his best season as a major leaguer. He's been one of the most productive outfielders in Major League Baseball. He's had huge moments throughout the course of the year. So, it goes without saying, you just don't want to lose him. And the truth is, he means more than what he's meant to the team in the batter's box, in the field, in the white lines. I mean, it. He is a true leader. He's had some huge moments, not just on the field, but some of the things that have happened off the field with Will Smith, basically calling him, I did call him irrelevant with what happened with the Nationals at Petco Park earlier this year. You got to have him. You got to have him. So if it's a day, it's a day. If it's 2 days, it's 2 days. But, the worst possible scenario when you're watching that play out is like, is he going to go on the IL? Is he going to suffer a serious injury here? Because that's something that not derails the direction, but certainly dampens it and could get you off course to some degree. And again, I'm not saying that if you don't have Profar for, a week or 2 or 3, everything changes, but nobody wants to risk it. I know that. We don't want to risk it. So it's good news, obviously, even though it was bad news that he got hit. I think it's good news overall that hopefully just a bruise, and hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. And again, I think with the day game tomorrow, like that 12:35 Eastern start, it probably makes sense to give him a day. You go from night game to day game and you suffer like a knee injury because you got hit by a fastball in the knee. I'm thinking that you give him the day, you give him a blow, and maybe he gets more than that. But that's just my hunch. Maybe he's back in there tomorrow. My speculation would be after something like that, maybe you sit him for a day, but we're going to find out. But I was crossing my fingers, and I think a lot of Padres fans were crossing their fingers. And I think it sounds like coming out of the game that they dodged what could have been, the worst scenario, which is him potentially going on the IL or something happening there more significant with the hit by pitch. Scythe, appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Saying the Pirates may have manipulated the rainy game to get Cease out. Could they have arranged their starters to skip the Skeens versus Merrill matchup, Rookie of the Year? That's funny. What happened last night, which we talked about at length on the wrap-up show, and if you haven't heard our commentary on it, make sure to find it and subscribe, as I've been telling you. What happened last night was one of those things that will happen over the course of a baseball season somewhere in the majors. And it happened to find the Padres in Pittsburgh on that rainy Tuesday night, right? Thunderstorms in the Northeast, and it was a disaster. They shouldn't have started the game. 17 minutes in, it rains. It only rains for 30 minutes. But because the field was basically unplayable, it was 2 hour and 40-minute delay. That cost Dylan Cease the opportunity to come back in the game. Who do I blame that on? Umpires, grounds crew. I mean, there was no grand fix, I don't think. Certainly doesn't benefit San Diego. And you feel the ramifications of using 8 innings from your bullpen well beyond today. And then you throw 5 more innings today. And there are potential ramifications tomorrow, Thursday, with Randy Vasquez throwing. And I think you feel it throughout the course of the weekend potentially as well. At some point, you're going to need to, have someone work 6+ innings to kind of give that bullpen a blow, or you're going to need a day off or, something like that in the future coming up. I don't know if we're going to see Skeens in San Diego or not. I haven't done the research to find out. I think there was some initial speculation. Maybe they missed him both times. Maybe they're going to catch him in San Diego. I'm not opposed to seeing Skeens versus Merrill, and maybe Merrill takes him deep, and that changes some of the Rookie of the Year conversation. Truthfully, it probably doesn't. I was asked, was it on the wrap-up show? No, you know what? It was by Jonathan Rifkin on John and Jim, filling in for Jim. He asked me, do you want to see Skeens? Like, are we missing out by not seeing Skeens? And I thought to myself, like, no, I don't need to see Skeens. I need to see the Padres win. Like, I don't want to see Skeens at the expense of a Padres loss. If you want to watch Skeens, turn on TBS the next time he pitches, or turn on ESPN if he throws on Sunday Night Baseball, or turn on MLB.TV if you have the package, or, Roku.TV on Sundays. You get the point. Or Apple TV on a Friday night. You get the point. If you really want to see Paul Skeens, if you haven't seen him as of yet, it's on us. Go turn him on. Go watch it. Like, if you benefit from missing guys in rotation, such is life. Like, that's advantage Padres. Like, that just happens. Like, you could have caught him twice, and maybe he could have beat you twice, or you could miss him twice, and therefore you beat them twice. Or maybe it's, you meet in the middle and you see him one of the two series. But I don't need to see Paul Skeens. I need to see the Padres continue to play like this. I could care less about seeing Paul Skeens, carve up the Padres lineup and make his case for Rookie of the Year. I mean, I truly could care less about that. Like, I've always been like that. When people are like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing theater to see, Otani pitch at Petco against the Padres? Not really. Not if it means the Padres aren't going to win the game. So again, I'm not a fan of rooting for injuries at all. I didn't like when Freddie Freeman missed time this past week because he was dealing with something with his 3-year-old son that was in the hospital. Yeah, I hate hearing that. These are human beings. But listen, what are you going to do about it? You're gonna play on, and you either So you get my point. I don't root for injuries. I think some people do. I never have. I'm certainly not going to cry over missing pitchers over the course of a year within like rotations and series. And I don't root to see someone that's really good against my team. Like I've never been like, oh, I can't wait to see Mike Trout in his prime against the Padres. I can. I don't need to see that, truthfully. So I think I make my point, if that makes sense. Back to some of these super chats. Moises, appreciate you, my friend. He says, is Merrill's will to win contagious? He doesn't quit. I think this rook has brought a missing edge and stands front and center and says, we're winning today. I think you make some fair points, Moises, to be honest. I think it's not necessarily a will to win. I think winning can be contagious. And I think that winning typically points teams in the, winning brings teams together. Winning brings teams together. Not to say teams that don't win at a great clip aren't cohesive or don't have a good culture. I think there's examples of teams that absolutely have good cultures and good pedigrees that don't win. They may be on an upswing. They might be rebuilding. They may historically have a very good culture. But I do think there's something to be said about winning and what it does for a group, right? And clearly it's doing a lot for this group specifically, because I think when you consider everything coming off 2023, managerial change, lose your owner, sadly, in the offseason, like you just add it all up and you have a group that believes in each other. Like I've said this so many times, you guys have heard me say this. In 2023, we tried to put our finger on why it didn't work, but we never could really put our finger on it. We don't know why. It just didn't work. In 2024, everyone's trying to figure out what's the formula here? Why is it all working, right? Who cares? It just is. 2023, who cares? It just didn't. 2024, who cares? It just is. They've got an it factor, including Jackson Merrill, to your point, Moises. They've got an it factor about them. They have this hunger within them, and it's working swimmingly right now. And I don't see any sign of it slowing, personally. In fact, I think it's only kind of accelerated here in the second half of the season with the way they're playing at 13-3. 13-3 since the break, which is the best record in baseball. All right, I want to pause for a moment because we're within 14 subscribers of 6,700. If you're a Padres fan, if you're a baseball fan, if you're looking for more exclusive year-round content, the home of Real Padres Talk, please subscribe. We get to 6,700. We'll go an additional 30 minutes here tonight. So we need to get to 6,700 within the next 15 minutes. If you want us to go an additional 30 minutes here tonight, act now. Take advantage of this incredible offer by subscribing to the wrap-up show on YouTube. Murray, what's going on, man? Appreciate you as always. He says, are we playing the great Queen song at the end of the year? We are the champions. Think about it, Padre fans. You're the man, John, LFGSD. I can't get that far ahead, Murray, and I love you. And someone asked this last night. It might have been you. We might have been talking about this. I would just say I would never stop a fan from being a fan, and I would never tell people to not shoot for the stars, right? It's like shoot for the stars. You might end up on them or close to them on the moon. So do you is what I would say, but I can't in good faith point the conversation there yet because I don't think it's fair. I'm not in the business of trying to get people's hopes up and then to see something not land, not finish the way that we all hope that it finishes. We get how sports work. There's more heartbreak than the opposite, right? By and large, maybe you're a fan of the New England Patriots or the, Boston Red Sox or whatever, right? And you've been fortunate the last 20 years, you have all these titles. If you've grown up in San Diego and if you've watched the Chargers move and if you've watched the historical arc of the Padres franchise, you haven't seen the team in the World Series in all these years, like all I can say is you keep the faith, right? And one of these years, hopefully it's the right year. And you never know when it's going to be your year. That's true. It happens quick. There doesn't have to be a process to it. You don't have to go from 80 wins to 85 wins to 90 wins to NLCS to World Series to win it. It can happen in 1 year. You can get in, you can make your run, you can win a World Series, or you can win 114 games in a year and you can be out in the first round. It's not a straight line. It'll drive you insane. It'll make you want to pull your hair out. It'll make you watch 100 and something games of baseball every single year for 50 years with nothing to come away for doing all of that. So you just got to believe, because that's why you're all here. And that's why you're watching all season long. It's why you're, with us here on the wrap up show, or John and Jim each and every day as well. I just got a text, by the way, from Jim. So I'm going to tell him I'm talking about him live right now. He texted me saying, "Is this the greatest Padres team ever?" So if the season just got jinxed, you can thank Jim. But he's everyone's excited about this. Is the point? He's in Switzerland. And he's checking these box scores and watching these shows, and so I mean everyone's excited. Yeah, and everyone knows that feeling, right? When your team is doing stuff that maybe was unexpected. He's on a train, by the way. He says that's great. I'm gonna say congrats. That feeling when it's just everything starts going your way, and it's one of those special summers, especially as a baseball fan. Like we've had a lot that go the other way, where things don't go your way, and you're hoping it turns a corner, and you're waiting for it to be magical. And you're like, why is it magical for the other teams? Why does San Francisco get to go through it? Why does, I don't know, name the team, get to go through it, right? But why not us? But there have been some special summers, right? If you're a Padres fan, you remember that feeling. You remember where you were. You remember that time in your life. Like you remember what it was like in the summer of 1998, for example, right? If you grew up a Padres fan, you remember what it was like. If you've been a lifelong Padres fan and you're in your 50s, what it was like in 1984. You remember more recently what it was like in 2022, more specifically in the postseason. It wasn't some incredible summer where they just took the ball and ran with it. It wasn't. They got off to a good start. They played 500 baseball, and then they had a couple of really good weeks in the postseason. But it's a long way of me saying that you should always have your hopes up, but you should always know that they can be dashed pretty quickly, because it is sports, and that's how things work. So one of these days, it's going to be one of our days. I can't tell you which day that's going to be, unfortunately. That I don't have the ability to tell you what that is on the wrap-up show. Okay. Oh, he follows up by saying I was talking about the division. World Series would be nice. He's saying, are we playing the Queen song at the end of the year? We are the champions. Are you just talking about the division? Like the end of maybe? I mean, I think the division's probably more attainable today than winning a World Series is today. I mean, a World Series involves winning at least 3 postseason rounds. A division involves overcoming 3 games over the next 2 months. So maybe, again, I think I'm optimistic in general on the Padres. I think I'm cautiously optimistic on the division. The problem is it's not just a 2-team race. It's not just Dodgers, Padres. You're like, you know what? We can track this team down. Arizona is playing as well as the Padres, which is hard to imagine, but it's happening right now in real time. So all I can say is maybe, possibly, potentially, hopefully, but we'll see. Right? We'll see. Thank you, Murray. All right. I do want to remind our viewers about our relatively new partner here on the wrap-up show, our friends at Mova Globes. They've got officially licensed Major League Baseball globes. They spin based on artificial or natural light. This technology was invented right here in North County, San Diego, Cardiff by the Sea, which is amazing. They have all 30 Major League teams. These are amazing gifts, presents, keepsakes, desk items, work office items. They spin all day and all night with light. Then they've got the planets as well. They have so many cool products. You need to check them out. All 30 Major League teams. Here's the other thing. If you use promo code PWS10, like Padres wrap-up show, PWS10, you're going to get 10% off. Look at these things spin on the screen right here. Wish they had the Padres on the screen, but look at that. Mova Globes, incredible items. Again, the technology, there's magnets in here. They spin based on like the way the earth spins with light. Don't ask me how it works, but it does work. They're really beautiful. They truly are. I wish I had all 30 Major League teams, to be honest with you, because I think they're that cool. I've got a couple of them here. And they have so much more. They've got the planets. They've got this, we joke, we call it the Carina Nebula Mova Globe. It's really Carina Nebula. But just fantastic imagery and photography and really amazing keepsakes. So if you're looking for one, pick it up. click the link in the description down below. Remember to use promo code PWS10. That is promo code PWS10. You're going to get 10% off. So click that link in the description down below. If you've been watching these MOVA Globes, if you've been hearing us talk about these over the last couple of weeks or couple of months, now is the time to pick one up here in 2024. All right, we're going to get back to the conversation as, again, the Padres win 9-8 over the Pirates tonight at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Really one of a series of wins this year that it didn't look like they were actually going to win. Like, how many times have we said that this year, that they won a game that they didn't appear destined at one point or another to win? Like, it's hard to win when you're trailing in the ninth inning. Can we all agree on that? Like, your odds of winning when trailing in the ninth inning aren't exactly good. And they've got a handful of wins this year where they entered the ninth inning trailing, including here today against a team that desperately needed to get a game like this. Like, Pittsburgh can ill afford to lose this series, which they've now lost to the Padres. So you kind of you haven't fully buried Pittsburgh, but you're getting close to burying Pittsburgh. And now you can completely, I mean, you could basically bury them, I think, by winning tomorrow in terms of creating separation between you and them. I don't know about everything else that'll play out. And yes, there's the 3-game series at Petco, but are you really getting swept by the Pirates at home if you sweep them in Pittsburgh, right? Like, just putting 2 and 2 together. But, you know, you win a game that you trail in the ninth inning. You somehow hold on to a 1-run lead in the 10th inning with nobody out and the bases loaded. You somehow hold on to a 6-6 tie with the bases loaded and 1 out in the ninth inning. Like, think about all that. Like, everything that played out here today and how you come away with the win. I mean, it really is amazing. Like, I'm looking at this box score. You know, Padres, you know, they came through enough. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck is going on? What are you doing? Okay, your internet's not working, or maybe mine isn't. I've been calling you Swiss Jim, by the way, on the show.
What?
I've been calling you Swiss Jim on the show. Dude, where are you?
I'm on a train to Italy. Look.
What? This is incredible. That looks lovely. How long is the train ride?
Look over here. Look over here. Look at this.
That's spectacular.
Dude.
Is Switzerland the greatest thing to happen since the Padres?
The Padres might be better.
What time is it?
It's 7:30 a.m.
Is anyone on your train car? Can you talk? Do you want to bring on someone from Switzerland or Italy to talk about the Padres? You want to interview someone?
No, because so I don't know the Padres are, but we'll see.
Dude, tell that train company to get their Wi-Fi fixed between Switzerland and Italy. Look at all these people in here, by the way. Is Jim frozen? This is unbelievable. Even though Jim is now frozen and completely unexpected. Someone screen grab this and put it on X. Are you still with us? Oh, I think you are.
Are we good?
So what's the plan here? When are you getting to Italy?
We get in at 9:30. Can you hear me?
What? Yeah, and then what do you do?
Oh, we get at 9:30, and then we're going on a yacht on Lake Como. No big deal.
What the hell?
Hey, look at this.
Thanks for the invite. Is that the Surfliner?
It's actually Lakeside.
Where's Aaron?
She's
still with her?
laughing at me right now. They're making fun of me.
Have you told Aaron that you've had to come into John and Jim and make sure the stream isn't muted?
What?
Have you told Aaron that you've had to like join the stream of John and Jim because like the stream has been completely effed up?
No, actually, no, I haven't yet. Little talk about John and Jim as possible.
That's probably smart on the honeymoon.
Yes.
Probably. This
Yeah.
is unbelievable, dude.
But
Did you hear about this game tonight, real quick, before you go?
what?
Did you hear about this game, this Padres game?
I just woke up to like everybody saying that, oh my God,
Crazy.
craziest win of the year or something like that.
Basically, that's what happened. Like crazy, dude. Merrill tied it in the ninth with a home run. They got a bases loaded, one out in the ninth in a tie game. They got a bases loaded, nobody out, up one in the 10th.
Dude.
Just utter insanity. Last night was crazy. There was a 3-hour rain delay.
Yeah, I saw that. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. Dude. When are you coming back? What the hell is going on right now? You're frozen again. All right. Get back to the honeymoon, man. We'll see you back in San Diego. This is crazy. Jim in Italy, Jim in Switzerland. Like, everything's crazy. Check back in if you have internet later. Wave. How about a wave emoji for Jim? Or like a champagne emoji. He's celebrating his honeymoon with Aaron, checking in on the wrap up. How cool is that? Are you getting that on other channels? Oh, he's gone. Why is he frozen? Because he's on a freaking train in like the Swiss like Alps. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I appreciate you, Patrick. Thank you, man. What's up, Michael? Oh, Michael's already flown by. That was pretty cool. Cameo from Jim, co-host of the wrap-up show, and John and Jim on a train. That was pretty cool. As an aside, he doesn't even know this. Because when I was 7, I was in Switzerland with my dad. I don't think he knows that because he hasn't asked. But yeah, Switzerland's an amazing place. I still remember that. I was 7 years old. It's spectacular. Is it as good as Padres Pirates on Padres.tv? No, not necessarily, but a spectacular place. I've never been to Italy, so hopefully he has a good weekend in Italy, and then we'll see him next week right here on the wrap-up show. All right, we had talked about getting to 6,700 subscribers. We've gotten pretty darn close. So we're going to keep this thing rolling. I think we're 9 subscribers away from getting to 6,700. So if you're here, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, I appreciate it. Year-round content for Padres fans. By the way, we have the audio-only edition of the show. If you ever just want the audio the next day, maybe you like listening to podcasts as opposed to viewing video. If you want to fast forward or you're in the car, you're going for a workout or whatever, click the link in the description down below. You can get the audio-only edition of the wrap-up show. I just posted as a podcast after every episode. So the next morning in your podcast player, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them, it would be in your podcast player. So you can click that link in the description down below. I've told people as well that we're on Discord. You can join us on Discord. We're talking about the Padres, not just during the wrap-up show or John and Jim, but basically 24/7, 365. So if you're looking for more, if you want more, especially with what's going on right now in 2024, click the link pinned in the top of the live chat or the link in the description down below and join the Discord server. I knew nothing about Discord a month ago. It's super simple and easy. It's just a message board with Padres fans that are wrap-up show fans. So it's basically just bringing the community even more together day in and day out. So if you're looking for that experience, then click that link in the description down below or the link that's pinned in the live chat right now as well. Man, what a day, right? Man, what a game. Let's get back to the game in a moment. But while we have a second, this graphic isn't exactly perfect. You know me and graphics. Our friends at Underdog Fantasy have NFL Week 1 discounts for you right now. If you use promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP. Click the link in the description down below. You're getting a free special pick and a 50% deposit match. Plus, they're giving you discounts for Week 1 because we're this far still in advance of Week 1. By the way, you can scan that QR code. You can see it in the top of the screen. My finger's pointing that way to get to Underdog Fantasy, or click the link in the description down below. Use promo code PODSWRAP. But they're giving you these incentives for Week 1. Anthony Richardson, a higher or lower on his pass yards, is all the way down to 183.5. CJ Stroud, higher or lower on pass yards, all the way down to 247, so on and so forth. Jonathan Taylor only needs to rush for 60 yards. Diggs only needs to catch 49 receiving yards. So take advantage of those promos and those discounts by using promo code PADSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. Again, get that free special pick and get up to a $250 first-time deposit offer with the 50% deposit match. You'll love playing along. You can play Padres Pick'ems. They're going on right now. Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's not exactly we could probably do better with that, to be honest, Michael. But I need Jim. I need to get Jim back is what I need. Trust me, I need to get Jim back for my sanity, for all the behind the scenes stuff, for creating graphics, for social media, for dude, like he's not allowed to go away again. This is the last honeymoon for Jim. At least the last honeymoon for Jim in 2024. Man, I'm trying to think. By the way, we're 4 subs away from 6,700. Let's get to 6,700. You know what we're going to do? We'll go another 30 minutes if you want. Who says no? We can go another 30 minutes. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but let's get to 6,700. Let's go another 30 minutes here tonight. Extended edition of the wrap-up show, recapping Padres over the Pirates at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, 9-8, winning in remarkable fashion, overcoming a deficit in the 9th on Jackson Merrill's second home run of the game, and then eventually winning it with 3 runs in the 10th inning and holding off a Pirates rally. Pittsburgh scored 2 in the 10th, but left the bases loaded in the 10th as the Padres hold on and again win it by a score of 9-8. I saw an amazing stat that I want to find tonight. Sarah Langs, the incredible MLB researcher, had a couple of amazing takeaways from Jackson Merrill tonight and for the season that he's had. Let me find it. Like, consider this. This is from Elias Sports. Consider this. Jackson Merrill is the first player with multiple multi-homer games that also included a game-tying or go-ahead home run in the 9th inning or later at age 21 or younger. It's a long way of me saying he should be Rookie of the Year. And again, it was Sarah Langs, MLB researcher, that had that. Merrill is the first player with multiple multi-homer games that also included a game-tying or go-ahead homer in the 9th inning or later at age 21 or younger. He's the only one. They've been playing this thing since 1876 professionally. It's 2024. It's been 150 years. The list is Jackson Merrill. That's the list. That's not it. More from Sarah Langs. Jackson Merrill has 3 game-tying or go-ahead home runs in the 9th inning or later this season, tied for the most in a season at age 21 or younger in the expansion era, which dates back to 1961. There are only 5 other players that have done it. By the way, one of them, Eric Hosmer in 2011. With the Royals, the others, Francisco Alvarez in 2023, Giancarlo Stanton in 2011 as well, Ryan Zimmerman with the Nats in 2006, Tony Horton in 1965. That's the entire list. So it's just amazing. I have one more here. The only player with more than 3 game tying or go-ahead home runs in the 9th inning or later in a rookie season was Adolis Garcia in 2021. It's just crazy. I mean, you could just rattle this stuff off all night long with what he's done. And again, it's like you're not sitting here tonight if not for Jackson Merrill. Like, we're talking about everything that went wrong and, why couldn't they hold a late lead? And what about this bullpen? And why didn't Michael King have it? Or whatever we'd be talking about. Or they gave away an opportunity to get a game on the Dodgers. And now Arizona is ahead of them in the wild card standings. That's what we would be talking about. That's what we would be talking about if not for Jackson Merrill. And not just Merrill. That's what we'd be talking about if not for Tanner Scott in the 9th inning, Robert Suarez, truthfully, in the 9th inning. That's what we'd be talking about if not for Adrian Morejon in the 10th inning with his first career save. That's what we'd be talking about if not for some clutch hitting there in the top of the 10th inning, if not for that drop tag that we talked about by the Pirates in the 10th inning. So it takes everything. It takes so much. And the difference is so minuscule. Like, you think about the way they've won some of these games, and we're talking about minuscule difference between winning and losing, truthfully, right? I mean, it's played out all season long. All season long, the Padres have come out on the right side of a lot of these results. All right, let's get back to some of these super chats, guys. If you're here, appreciate you subscribing, and if you're here, thank you for the super chats. Click the $ below the chat box. And like Lisa did right here, Lisa, appreciate the super chat saying Padres fans are faithful AF. Hashtag LFGSD. No doubt. I mean, no doubt. You've been through a lot, obviously. Been through a lot as a Padres fan, watching this team, more down years than up years, more lean years um, than you'd like, right? But here we are. And if nothing else, the 2020s have been exciting and relevant. That's for sure. Starting with the pandemic season that nobody really wanted, but they played well. 2021, the disastrous finish. 2022, all of a sudden, you got Juan Soto and you're in the National League Championship Series. 2023, the highest expectations maybe in the history of the franchise, thinking about getting to a World Series or winning one. They don't even make the postseason, remarkably. And then 2024, trading off Juan Soto, adding all these pieces, the Dylan Ceases, the Luis Arises, the trade deadline, and playing this type of baseball in the second half, 13-3, 24-12 in their last 36 games, moving to within 3 games of first place in the Dodgers now on August 7th, heading into August 8th. So if nothing else, they've been relevant and entertaining, and now can they take that next step? What is that next step? Make a run one year in the postseason and do something they've never done, or sustain success for a period of time. As good as 2020 was as bad as 2021 was. As good as 2022 was as bad as 2023 was. As good as 2024 is right now, we want to see it in 2025 and beyond. Beggars can't be choosers. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We can't overly concern ourselves with 2025 and 2026 right now. I'd much prefer to see this team keep winning than really discuss too wildly or freely 2025 and 2026. But one of 2 events we all want to see occur. Either they do what they've never done before, or they put themselves in a position to do what they've never done before. And what I mean by that is do it over and over and over again. Sustain, 89 plus win seasons, 4 out of every 5 years for the rest of the decade, something like that, right? Win a division or 2, secure wild cards for 4 consecutive years, whatever it is. That's kind of the next step in the continued evolution of the San Diego Padres. And again, there's been good years here recently. There's been bad years here recently. We'd like to see more good than bad moving forward, and nobody can guarantee that. Nobody can assure us and what the future is going to look like. But like you said, the fans have been unbelievable. I mean, I've said that routinely in recent years. I mean, you look at the way Padres fans pack Petco Park, and it's an unbelievable thing to watch, is what it is, because I don't even know if the Padres fully earned that from their fan base over the last, 2023 specifically. I mean, there's 45,000 people there every single night. They're like under 500 at home as late as August. And they finished, I mean, they're under 500 overall as late as the middle of September or late September. And there are 45,000 people, even this year. They haven't played exceptional baseball at home. And every single night, no matter who they're playing, by and large, you got 45,000 people there, sometimes more than that. And Padres fans are some of the best in baseball. I've said it. I think it's a smart fan base. I honestly believe that it's one of the most underrated fan bases in Major League Baseball. Like, I truly believe that. And for whatever reason, it doesn't get the national credit it deserves. But again, from a loyalty perspective, from just a baseball market, I think it's one of the best baseball markets in the country. I truly believe that. What we execute on John and Jim in the wrap-up show, I don't think I could do it in Milwaukee. I don't think it's the same market. I think the attention turns much too often to the NFL come July 1st, right? Like Cincinnati, which has a great baseball history. I just don't know if they have the same fervor all year round like there is for the Padres in San Diego. Now, maybe that's because of the events that have played out over the last decade with the Chargers, but you could talk about the Padres 365 days a year. We've proven it. And I don't think we're the only people to prove it, but we can absolutely, on John and Jim and the wrap-up show, I think we've actually proved people wrong in doing it. I think people have sometimes said you can't do what you're trying to do, yet we've been able to do it year in and year out because I know that there's an audience for it. I know there's a listener's ear for it, and I know there's viewers to watch it on YouTube because I see the data. So, I'm going to keep doing it until someone tells me I can't do it, whether it's on the radio or on YouTube. But we do it because I know that there's interest in us doing it. I think, could I do it with the A's? Probably not. Could I do it with the Brewers, the Reds, the Orioles? To be honest with you, probably not. But with the Padres, and the Padres are in an interesting situation. This is the only major league team in a city with only one of the big 4 professional sports. I don't count Oakland. They're on their way out. San Diego is the only city in America that has a Major League Baseball team, but doesn't have any of the other big four, so to speak: NBA, NHL, NFL. Hasn't always been that way. That's how it is right now. And that's not the reason why San Diego is a good baseball market, but it's played a role in the marketability of the Padres. And then the fans have just followed in line, and it's become a marvelous baseball market. I mean, we've all watched it play out firsthand, and hopefully that continues moving forward as well. My man Carlos is here. Carlos, my man, thank you. Last night, Carlos was all in. Here he is back on the wrap-up show on this extended edition tonight. Carlos is a loyal viewer, a friend, and we appreciate you hanging out tonight. Thank you, Carlos, for the super chats. He says, what a win. Need to throw to Pirate tomorrow. You're talking about Profar. I hadn't even thought about that. You're seeing him again next week at Petco. I don't know if I need to tempt fate. Everything's going well. Just keep the winning ways going, right? Like, keep the good vibes going. It's an interesting point. Like, Profar was pissed. That was a close game, obviously. I don't know about intent. I'd be surprised at intent. I'd have to be reminded of the exact time and score, so to speak, right? The exact circumstance there, because so much played out here tonight. I don't think you're doing it tomorrow. Let me explain as to why. You had the 8 innings from your bullpen yesterday. You had 5 innings from your bullpen today. And what happens if you throw at someone and the pitcher gets tossed? So maybe keep it in the back of your mind for when they come to Petco next week. If you need to do it, if you feel like it's necessary to do it. Schulte hasn't really been that guy. It's been more words than actions, and it's worked out. It's worked out for Mike Schulte and the Padres. But yeah, listen, when I saw Profar got hit and go down and throw his helmet, and I'm thinking, is this guy going to miss time? I mean, every thought crosses through your mind in that moment. You just can't lose Jerks Profar. And if you need to defend your players, you need to defend your players. So I completely understand that. Carlos follows up by saying Merrill plus Tatis clutchness equals October madness. Can you imagine? Get a healthy Tatis back. Merrill's just playing with house money, right? Free and loose. He doesn't know how big he's been, how hard this is to do. He's just free and loose. It's almost like what you don't know is a good thing in this situation. Who knows if he's able to play like this next year, right? I mean, but for whatever reason, nothing has seemingly impacted him from a mental standpoint this year. He's overcome everything, right? And half of this thing, if not more, is mental. So he's just had this very steady year where the powers come on in the last 2 months. Tatis, we know what he's capable of doing. So of course you're going to need him to actually reach the ceiling. You need Tatis to actually reach it. I think it's hard to. I know they've played good baseball without Tatis 2022. I know they've played really good baseball in 2024. I'm just telling you, my hunch is to play to the best of your ability. You got to have him. How can that not be the case? How could that not be the case? So hopefully they get him back with enough time for him to ramp up to be the player he's capable of being. Like, if he doesn't return until September 15th, and then it's only a couple of weeks and we don't see him at his best, then are you really counting on him to be impactful in October? But if he comes back like September 1 and plays 25, 30 games and gets into some type of groove, then again, advantage Padres. Only another reason to believe in the Padres potentially in October. Carlos saying, if we don't sweep tomorrow, not sleep, if we don't sweep tomorrow, I'll punch my wall. If you do that, make sure not to break your hand. That would be my word of wisdom, or my words of wisdom. I mean, it's there for him. I mean, Randy Vasquez, he's been up and down, but he's been better. He's been good. He's been good. He hasn't been perfect. A couple of times ago, allowed 6 runs, right? But he's been good. And it'll be Randy Vasquez and Ortiz for the Pirates, who's been good. Luis Ortiz, 5-2 with the 3.21 in 84 innings, 1.18 WHIP. So he's been good. And Vasquez hasn't been that good. 3-6 with a 4.62, 76 innings, 1.53 WHIP. Be interested to see the Vegas line tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked if the Pirates were a small favorite at home, trying to avoid a home sweep. But then again, the Padres are playing so well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Padres were a small favorite on the road with the way that they're playing. Overall, let me say this clearly. Don't punch anything, Carlos, right? I'm thinking about your hands. I'm thinking about your ability to text into the show. Don't punch anything, no matter what happens tomorrow night. Trust me. You'll thank me. You'll thank me on that. On the other side. What else, guys? What else have we not discussed over the last 75 minutes? Because I think we've hit 6,700 subscribers. And because of you guys, we're going to go for another 15 minutes. We typically do an hour. We're going to go 90 minutes tonight because everyone's been subscribing and because everyone's excited. We've actually technically not hit 6,700 as of yet. We're at 6,698. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, would appreciate it. Yeah, I talked about this on the radio a couple of days ago, and I haven't talked about it on the wrap-up show, and I'm happy to have that conversation right now with Padres fans. I know a number of you are season ticket members that are in the chat. Let me just say this, and again, I'm coming at it from a different perspective. I'm not a season ticket member. I'm a media member. And the price increase this upcoming year is going to be moderate. The average ticket price will go up 3% for season ticket members. Some are going to go up more than that. Some will go up less than that. Remember, they're also going from 80 home games to 81. That's 1.2% of the increase. So if there's a 3% increase, 1.2% of that 3% is by going from 80 games to 81 because they played a game this year in Korea that they're not playing in 2025. I'll be honest with you. I have no personal issue with it. I understand in a sport that is as competitive as Major League Baseball, you want every revenue advantage that you can possibly take advantage of, and you want to pump that revenue into your club. And I think the proof's been in their actions. I think they've spent. Now, their spending isn't the same this year as it was the past year, but on the whole, they have spent. They've tried to field a more than competitive Major League roster. Sometimes they've fallen flat on their face, but it's hard to fault what they've tried to do with the money spent with the roster. And at the highest level of professional sports, it takes revenue, right? And it takes that type of commitment is what it's going to take. Now, that means that you're leaning on your fan base, and I understand it, that at some point something's got to go. I'm not saying that we can all afford to do it. And if you can't afford to do it, it's completely understandable. Then you can't do it. But with all that being said, it takes money in this equation to be highly competitive. And there's no direct correlation. You don't have to spend $300 million in payroll to be good. You don't have to spend $30 million. You don't have a $30 million payroll and automatically suck. Sometimes a team in the middle wins a World Series. Sometimes a team at the top. Sometimes a team in the bottom third is capable of winning a World Series. I'm just saying, to put yourself in the best situation possible, you need to create additional revenue streams, especially when you're not in market two. San Diego's not. And when you consider what's played out with the Bally Sports contract and the future of streaming and how that revenue stream to some extent has been cut off to the Padres in the near future and in the now, that then like I just understand it, right? It's like if you want your college basketball team to be the best college basketball team, you need to support their NIL efforts. If you want your Major League Baseball team to compete with teams that are in markets like Philadelphia, New York, and Los Angeles, then you need to create revenue that allows the organization to field a viable and competitive team. And the Padres have done that, and they've done it on the backs of their fan base to an extent. I don't know what extent, but it doesn't feel like to me the Padres raise ticket prices in an effort to put money in the pockets of their shareholders or owners. That's not what it seems like to me. In fact, we've heard from people that in 2022 and 2023, they lost money before ever taking the field those seasons because their payroll commitments were so high they could never get it back in ticketing and merchandising and concessions and parking and so on and so forth. Like going into the year, they knew they were going to be losing money. So it takes money, it takes investment, it takes a ardent, loyal fan base. And it doesn't mean I like it. It doesn't mean I like it, but I understand it. Right. I don't like it. I don't like spending more money for things that I could get previously for less. But I go to the store and bread went from $4.50 to $5, and milk went from $3.50 to $3.75, and gas went from $4.25 to $4.75, and so on and so forth. So if gas goes up, if milk goes up, ticket prices can go up. And I think we just have to understand that and be realistic with it and know that it plays a significant part in the process of trying to field a team that is capable of winning at a very high level. Now they got to go do that, but you want them to be able to maximize revenue streams, not the opposite. And I've always said this too. Do you want to go to a Padres game and spend $20 and watch them be average or lose or be mid? Or would you prefer to spend $25 and see them win? Again, no direct correlation. There's times that their ticket prices are high and the team isn't very good. But I'd rather pay the premium for the better entertainment and baseball experience than the alternative. Like, yeah, I get it. You don't want to spend $14 on a movie, but I don't want to spend $250 to go watch some movie from 1989 that I could care less about. You pay the $14 because it's a brand new movie and it's a nice theater. You pay the $55 for the Padres game because the Padres field a competitive team, have a beautiful ballpark, and have invested. So those are my 2 cents. I don't know what you guys think. I mean, you can comment in the chat. It's hard for me to keep up with it, but some people will agree with me. Some people will disagree. Completely value and understand. I mean, listen, it's an opinion. It's my 2 cents, no pun intended. But I understand it. Again, it doesn't mean I like it, but I completely understand it. Good segue, Fred. Thank you. Friends at FOCO. It's Padres floral. What is this? Button down? Floral button down? I think from maybe 2023. I think I have 2 of them. One from 2022, another from 2023. It's all contingent, of course, on winning. It's all contingent on winning, right? You don't want to spend, you don't want them to raise ticket prices 18% and then them go 78 and 84. That's the last thing you want them to do. But they can't guarantee winning. All they can do is make the investment in an effort to win. Like, there's no guarantees in professional sports. The other teams are trying to win too, but you want to use all resources available to you in an effort to win. And that means money. You need money to win. And especially Major League Baseball, when you don't have those defined caps like you have in the NFL, even in the NBA or the NHL. In Major League Baseball, it takes money. Nobody wants to hear that necessarily. And there's haves and have nots and small markets and big markets, and it's too much of the conversation. But at the end of the day, we pretend like it's all level, the playing field. And when you're playing the Pirates, they have the same chance of winning as the Dodgers. But truth be told, they don't historically, because of their investment in their team, right? Top to bottom. So it's not a level playing field. And truthfully, if you're a Padres fan, you don't want the field to be level because you want to invest more than the other teams. And you want to put yourself in a position where you can win more often than not because of those investments. So long way of me saying, I get it. I get it. Moises, we did it. 6,700 subscribers. Not like that was the end all goal. I think at one point we got to get this channel well past 10,000 Padres. There's so many Padres fans. I always talk about this loyal fan base. We get viewers in Mexico and Europe. We had Jim on a train in Switzerland. We get people in Korea, Japan. We have all these advanced analytics. It's amazing what percent of our viewers are coming from outside the state of California, all around the country, transplants, people up and down the East Coast, Midwest. In fact, let me know right now, whether you're here live or on replay, where are you watching from tonight? Put it in the chat or put it in the comments down below. I'm not going to be able to get through them all, but let me know, where are you watching from tonight? Put it in the chat right now. Put it in the comments section down below, because I know Padres fans are everywhere, whether it's Santee, downtown, Del Mar, La Jolla, Chula, IB, Tennessee. They're all over the place. Let me know where you're watching from right now, whether it's live or on replay. Put it in the comments down below or in the live chat if you are here live with us tonight on the wrap-up show. While you do that, JD Gaucho, thank you. He always likes to segue with the non-Padres discussion when he can towards the end of a show. He says, your prediction for France-Germany men's basketball semis. I'm going to trust the home team here without knowing much, to be honest. I'll take France because they're playing in Paris. I'd probably otherwise take Germany if this game was in like the US, let's say. But I'll trust France in front of their home fans with Wemby to get the job done and square off against Team USA, assuming Team USA gets by Serbia tomorrow. So I'll say France, Team USA, final this weekend. Although I think Germany is the better team. But I'll say France at home is the team that wins that game tomorrow. But thank you, JD Gaucho, as always. I'm just looking here where everyone's at, TJ and Sacramento and Palm Springs. I was just there this weekend. It was 116 degrees. Arise Singles is hanging out with me here in Del Mar. Appreciate you, T. Kelly. Do appreciate that a lot. Normal Heights, big fan, by the way, of watching it work in Phoenix. Very cool. Similar temperatures to Palm Springs, I would imagine. We got Missouri's in the house. Okay. Do we have 2 Missouris? No, the same one. San Ysidro. I just love seeing it. I mean, that's the thing. That's the beauty of sports, right? It brings so many people together from all over the place. I mean, by and large, obviously, a lot of Padres fans are in San Diego. We go to Petco Park. There's 40,000 people. My buddy, Carlos comes up from TJ all the time, or from Mexico to see the Padres. There's a lot of people, obviously, that do that from Baja California, but it's just so cool. And then, of course, there's people that spent a year in San Diego or in the military and then are, stationed overseas or have relocated to New Jersey or Pennsylvania, yet stay up late to watch these shows and watch these games, which is obviously super cool as well. Moises, appreciate you, man. He says 20K is next. Subscribe. Congrats to John and Jim. Yeah, listen, 6,700 isn't some like amazing marker. Like you'd like it to be like an even number. Like, you get to 1K. That was a cool moment. You get to 5K. That was a cool moment. When we get to 10K, I think that's going to be a really cool moment. Who knows? Sky's kind of the limit. Because again, I think there's tens of thousands of Padres fans that if they, I think tens of thousands of Padres fans have stumbled on the channel. We've had, I don't know, you guys can actually look. There's somewhere in the wrap-up show where you can see like about us, how many views we've had on this channel in 3 years, somewhere 1.3 million, 1.4 million, 1.5 million. I don't know what it is, somewhere in that. So, I mean, there's tens of thousands of people that you reach. And subscriber doesn't really tell the whole story because it's more about actually if you know how it works behind the scenes with YouTube. It's kind of like you go to YouTube, like what do they suggest to you? Like I go to YouTube, like, oh, watch this. And I watch it. Whether I subscribe or not, they just know that I've watched it before. They're like, oh, John Schaefer has routinely watched videos on Apple products. So all of a sudden they start feeding me videos on Apple products. Or they know that, Moises routinely watches videos on the San Diego Padres. So they start feeding him San Diego Padres content like the wrap-up show, whether he subscribes or not. That's kind of how the algorithm works. If anyone wanted that lesson in YouTube. I want to go another, are we good? Is there anything we've missed on? It doesn't have to be a super. Just put it in the chat right now. If there's something that you want me to touch on for 3, 4, 5 minutes, put it in the chat and I'll try to get to it briefly or quickly. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, we've added a ton over the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 6-game roadie where I said I'd take 4-2, and now I want to get greedy and say 5-1. I don't know if that's fair or not. 5-1 is 3-1 from here on out. 4-2 is 2-2 from here on out. They're fully capable of winning a series in Miami with the state of the Marlins, and they're capable of sweeping this series, obviously, if Randy Vasquez pitches well or the offense comes to life, or a combination of both. So I think you want to get greedy now. Like I think – I'm thinking 5-1 with a team that's playing as red hot as the Padres, 13-3 since the break. I'm thinking 5-1 trip. You've done most of that work at 2-0. So you just got to finish it off here over the next 3 or 4 days. So you get home at 5-1, even 4-2. You're not going to feel bad at 4-2, but you're going to feel really good at 5-1 or even better in theory. So that's what's in front of them. The division's in front of them, 3 games back, with still 40-something games to play, an eternity of time. Arizona's right there, tied with the Padres atop the wild card race. Dodgers are coming back to the field, so to speak, just 3 games up again here, still early in August. So, this won't be a straight line. There'll be some unexpected turn of events coming up. I'm sure we'll be able to say that. These teams don't play each other a ton, I want to say, down the stretch. I don't know how many times the Padres still play the Diamondbacks, but they only play the Dodgers 3 more times this year. That'll be at Dodger Stadium. Could be big series. I want to say the Padres close with Dodgers Diamondbacks on the road. So you look at the way things are shaping up right now, and that could be for all marbles, whether it's division winners or wild card spots, or whether you're in or out, or which team is a wild card and which team is a division winner. I mean, everything could be in the line for those final 6 or 7 games of the season. And again, there's a lot of baseball between now and then, but it's not impossible to envision that Arizona, San Diego, and LA are all within 3 or 4 games of each other with a week to play in the season. That's where they are right now. Now, is that the most likely scenario? Probably not. 1 or 2 of the teams will continue to play really well. 1 or 2 of the teams won't play at that same clip. So the odds are not all 3 teams will stay within 3 games of each other over the next, 40 games, but it's at least possible. And considering we've played 100-something games, and that's where they are, 3 teams within 3 games of each other, it's absolutely a possibility that those 3 teams will be within 3 games of each other when we get to late September. So it's something to keep an eye on. That finish is tricky. I think outside of that, it's manageable with the Rockies and the White Sox and the Tigers and the Rays and the Giants, right? I mean, again, I'm not saying cakewalk or easy, but it is manageable, and they can navigate their way towards Continue to play, not at this 13-3 clip necessarily, but hopefully push this thing from 11 games over 500 to 15 games over 500, and so on and so forth, is what I would say. All right, that's going to do it. We did 90 minutes. Boom. 90-minute solo show other than 5 minutes of frozen gym on a train in Switzerland and Italy. Can you ask for more than that here tonight on the wrap-up show? Here's what I ask of you. Subscribe. Year-round content for Padres fans, the home of real Padres talk. Smash the like button for me. Would love to get to 500 likes on this video here tonight, live or on replay. Follow me on X at John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. If you're here on replay, thank you for the super thanks. We appreciate those. If you want to become a member, click the join button down below. Support our partners, wrap-up show fans. Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, our title sponsor. Any insurance need, Mark is your guy. Click the link in the description down below. Mova Globes, if you want 10% off, use promo code PWS10. PWS10, click the link in the description down below. And Underdog Fantasy, use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. Get a free special pick and a 50% deposit match. That's a 50% deposit match. Check us out on Discord. Click the link in the description if you want to continue the conversation tonight. We're 24/7, 365. I will see you tomorrow on the radio, recapping the series at 3 p.m. Maybe back with you tomorrow night on the wrap-up show at 9:30. We don't typically do wrap-up shows on getaway days following morning games, but you guys have been good to the channel. We're trying to be good to you. So potentially we'll be back with you tomorrow night as well at 9:30. But either way, join us tomorrow, John and Jim. Free iHeartRadio app, San Diego Sports 760, YouTube as well at 3 p.m. We'll wrap up this Padres-Pirates series and look ahead to the Marlins this weekend in Miami. For Swiss Jim, I am John. Be good. Padres win 9-8. They're on the heels of the Dodgers. This has been the wrap-up show.